Hello and welcome to Financial Education for the Nation. My name's Warren Shute, and today, the dilemma: property or equities? Okay, so property or equities? When I started as a planner or financial advisor, if I'm honest, back in 1995, one of the biggest obstacles that I came across is people saying to me, "Hey, do you know what, Warren? Bricks and mortar are my pension. I don't need a pension. I don't need to invest in the stock market. I've got my home. I've got this buy to let, that buy to let, and that's going to be my pension." Over the time, we saw different things. It kind of went away a little bit during the financial crisis because mortgages are so much more difficult to get hold of, and we saw that a lot of properties went negative. They started losing value. See, when I started investing, when I bought my first property in 1995, up until about sort of 2000, house prices just went up, and then they carried on going up into the global financial crisis in 2007, 2008. It was only then when it got a little bit rocky. With the stamp duty holiday recently, I've kind of seen the emergence of people wanting to get back into property. The angle seems to be a little bit different now. Lots more people are looking at HMOs, houses of multiple occupancy, which, if I'm honest, is not an investment. That's a job, because unless you employ someone to manage it for you, there is a job there. So you've got to bear in mind what's the difference here. So an investment is something that I can take my capital, place it at risk, and I'm rewarded for that risk over time. Whereas a business or a job is where I then have to put my time and effort in and work it. And there is a difference. Just recently, I had a good friend who just called me and said, do you ever consider investing in the property market? Why do you always invest in stocks? And I said, well, no, I don't. I'm quite happy investing in the stock market. It just works for me. I've got my job, which I love. I don't need another job. And the stock market rewards me plentifully, for the exposure I'm giving it to risk. There's a logical reason why I believe equities will outperform property. But we don't buy with logic, we buy with emotions. We justify with logic. But I just want to explain or share something with you at the moment. So I had a client the other day boast to me in a planning meeting, because it's not uncommon for a client to want to sort of say, hey, look, I've done this all on my own back, I've done particularly well, which I applaud. I think it's fantastic. But he bought a property in 2000 for £80,000, 250. So back in 2000, roughly 22 years ago, £80,000, 250, and he's just about to sell it for £210,000, which is a whopping £130,000 gain. Okay, we'll ignore costs for now, stamp duty, legal fees, all the upkeep and all that kind of thing. This was a rental property. It's a nice return, okay, and that's averaged around about 4.5% return a year. Now, if you consider, and I've not looked at this, but I would arguably guess the inflation over that period is going to be around about 3%, maybe late twos. Okay, so he's done nice, comfortable return on that. So 80,250 up to £210,000, 4.5% return over 22 years. Now, if he'd invested that money, that £80,000, not in Tesla or Microsoft, the high flyers, or Rightmove here in the UK, but a boring, straightforward global index fund. Okay, thing I always talk about, a boring, straightforward global index fund, £80,000, he would now be sitting on about £347,000. That's another £135,000, and he's had no tenant. I was going to say no stress. I don't want to say no stress, because you invest in 2000 and the global financial crisis would have dropped that investment by about 50%. So there would be stress during that time, or worry potentially during that time, but no effort. If you'd literally just invested it, locked the door into, I'm not looking at these statements, I don't get the house valued every day, I'm not going to get it, or even every year, I'm just going to get it valued when I want to sell it. If he just did that, he had the same strategy, he'd be sitting on over another £135,000. So when you buy these funds, you don't buy shares. You do buy shares, but what you're doing is you're buying a share ownership of some of the best companies globally. So don't think about buying a fund. Think about buying ownerships in the likes of Apple, Microsoft, ExxonMobil, Johnson and Johnson, Visa. Some of the best companies around the world. So when you go and spend and use your card, or when you're on your computer, just think, I own some of this company. Which would you prefer? A rental property in your local town or somewhere where you've got a tenant causing you headaches and you've got to go in and decorate it and deal with the estate agent, and there's a bulb broken so they need it replaced and they charge you £150 to do that, otherwise you've got to do it in your evening, after work and stuff? Or would you rather a share in some of the best companies? Would you like to say you're an owner of Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, ExxonMobil, all these great companies around the world? You might be thinking, okay, well, look, Warren, on that example you just gave, where your client went from 80 to 200 plus £1,000, you forgot about the rent. Okay, so he's getting rent every year for that. Admit, he gets rent from that, and his rental yield was 3.5%, and that's fairly typical. Typical rental yields, if you can test it in the open market, it's about 3.5%. It's different for HMOs, and that's higher, but like I said, that is a job. That's like reward for the effort you're being put in. But after you've taken into account the letting fees, the tax, the buildings insurance, okay, that's just the annual things he's got to pay. And then you look at things like the upkeep, so maybe general wear and tear. Over 22 years, you're going to need a new kitchen, okay? You're going to need a new bathroom. You're going to need new carpets. You're going to need to give it a good decoration, at least probably arguably once a year. You got all these additional costs, and let's hope you don't need a new roof. That would, I believe, easily negate that 3.5%. When you take away the tax and all the running costs, the insurance you've got to pay out and stuff like that, and then all the running costs of the property. And when you say that, I kind of would say one will wash the other. So you've got a good property at the end of it, which you can sell. Now, my grandmother used to say to me, "Hey, Warren, remember this. It's not what you make in life that's important. It's what you keep." And when you're investing £80,000, it would be fairly reasonable. No. It would be very reasonable for me to manage that money, or for you to manage that money tax-free. We can wrap £20,000 up into an ISA, then we're left with 60. We can manage that quite easily with your capital gains tax allowance, and then start moving £20,000 over to ISAs every year. So eventually it's all in ISAs, then we don't have to worry about the capital gains or income tax on it. So that money's completely tax-free. So that £80,000 investment is risen, and your gain is all tax-free. It's all yours to keep. Okay. When you start looking at property, you're paying between 18 and 28% capital gains tax on that. That's a third almost of your property gone. A nice chunk. A third for the revenue, 2/3 for you. So, just bear that in mind. You've got a lot of things to consider. Now, if you can afford your own home, absolutely buy your own home. That's a place where you make memories, that's stability, that's life's experiences. 100% behind that. But when it's about building your future financial success, your wealth, then back Global PLC every time. Take some of the best brains, get access to those best brains and best minds, those geniuses out there who are developing, growing the world in the area of technology and genome research and stem cell research, and everything that's going on is amazing. You get access to those by owning a slice of the company, and that's your right. So that's all I've got to say today. Property or stock market, I'm sorry. Every day I come down to Global PLC. It just keeps delivering consistently, time in, time out, because companies have targets to make. They sell products. Those products create turnover. They pay their costs. They make a profit, and that profit is generally retained so the company could grow in value. And that company grows in value, you get a share of that by your increased share price. Okay, and you don't have anyone coming to you and say, "Oh, excuse me, we've not hit target this month. Can you help us out?" Or, "Excuse me, the cleaner hasn't turned up. Can you go and clean that?" Or, "The bulb is broken. Can you come and replace that?" You're just a shareholder. You're an investor. It's a pure investment. Leave the rentals to someone else. Allow them to do it. Okay. I hope that's been of help. This has been a pleasure speaking to you. Please like and share the show. My name is Warren Shute, and this has been Financial Education for the Nation. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. There's a great number of back issues to go through, and remember, what makes us different on your financial journey is the support with access to downloads and templates on warrenshute.com, the YouTube videos and podcasts, as well as access to me, a multi-award winning certified financial planner and certified international coach. So please do engage and let's get your finances sorted together.